So we have the screen GUI showing on all of the spawn locations whenever the player starts the game. But there's one problem with that. If the player starts here, right? If let's say they left the game and they were working on the maze and they start here, then when it shows, it's going to be locked in first person mode. So they won't be able to to select the start button in the screen GUI. So let me show you what I mean. If I come here to teams and I switch it to black, I believe this one is black here, and I play the game, then you see my cursor can never click here to start to get rid of the screen GUI. So what I want to do to get out of that, I can press Command Tab, and that will get me out, and I can press stop. And so what I want to do is, if the team color is black, then don't show the GUI, okay? And also the same thing over here, because when the player's here, the first person mode is still locked into place. So if the player is here or there, I don't want that screen GUI to show, okay? Even if they do start the game for the very first time. And so how can we do that? Well, if we look here in this local GUI script, we can add an if statement around this GUI enabled, and we could say if the player dot team color is not equal, and that till sign is a not. It's 4 keys above shift, right, on the left side of the keyboard. So that means not equals. If it's not equal to brick color dot new, and the brick color of that spawn location is black, right? So we want that one, or the player dot team color, and we also want the other one on the other side of the maze too, because the player's perspective is going to be locked on both of them. So if we go over to the other one and I click on him, and I go down to team color, it's smoky gray with an E. So I can come back over here and I could say smoky gray with an E. So if either of that or that is true, then I want to do this. And then of course at the end we need to put end, right? So if it's not equal to black, and I don't want to say or, I want to say and it's not equal to smoky gray, then I want to do this. So let's see, is it or and? So for and, both of them need to be true. For or, only one of them need to be true for it to be true. So I want to say and. No, if this is true and that's true. Yeah, and. So if it's neither of these. Okay, so let's say that it is set to black, then that means that this is false and this is true. Then I want this whole thing to be set to false, because I don't want this to happen, right? And so if we have and, it will be set to false, because this will be true, and I mean this will be false. This will be true and this will be false, and then the whole thing will be set to false. So yeah, we do want and let's go ahead and test it and play and see if it doesn't show on the maze spawn location. So here you go, it doesn't not show, and I can start playing, right? And then I'm going to stop. I'm going to change my team back to the first team color, and I'm going to run it, and it should show. Okay, well, and that's another issue, okay? Sometimes, even though you change the team color, it still warps to this spawn location right here, which is black, okay? And so the reason for that is the leader stats. If you look here in leader stats, what we do is we warp the player to this brick color black, right? But sometimes it'll warp to the team color's color if they're different. Okay, but we don't want that to happen. We want it to always warp to this color whatever color we set up in leader stats. Okay, so to fix this bug, what we want to do is do this eventually, right? But we also want to do this, which is to set the team color to the same color. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do here, and eventually I'm going to change it to the color based on this team color value. Okay, but for now, this is what we're going to have. Okay, and yeah, I think the value we could just put in here like that. So now it's definitely going to go to black, but if I don't want it to go to black and I want it to go to really black, then I want to put really black in here. So here and here. So why don't you go ahead and add that change to your leader stat scripts. That way it will always warp to whatever color we put into that script. Okay, so good. So the GUI shows, I click here and it should go away. Okay, so that's the next thing that we need to do. Let's go ahead and stop the game. Let's go into start. No, let's go over here to Explorer and go into that GUI. So it's real start GUI, the start button. Let's double click that local script, and we need to make some adjustments. Okay, the way that this works now, this was copied from the ending script right here, right? This is the ending script. When we touch the button, it should go back to the first spawn point, right? But we don't want that, right? When we, in this GUI, if we press the button, we just want the GUI to go away. So we don't care about the location. So we can erase line number 2. We can erase line number 6. And right here on line number 3, it's not start GUI, right? Ours is real start GUI. So I'm going to say real start GUI. And I think that's good enough, right? So we have the GUI. We said it's enabled equal to false on the mouse button click. So I think we're good there. So let's go ahead and test this out and see if it works. All right, so our person's playing. I click start, it goes away. Okay, and now when I die, it should not show, because again, we put our script here in starter player script, which loads only once. Okay, so look, now it does not show the GUI because that script is not running. It only runs once in the very beginning, not on a respawn. So everything looks good so far, and let's go ahead and stop here, and then we'll make a couple more adjustments before moving forward.